Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining the YouSolar webinar. YouSolar creates the PowerBloc. It's a solar nanogrid that delivers reliable and clean power to the home. Today, we have the host, Arnold Leitner, the CEO and founder of YouSolar, speaking to us about the new Generation 3 PowerBloc. And just one housekeeping item before we begin. We do have a Q&A at the end of the session, so there's a Q&A button at the bottom of the Zoom. If you have any questions, please feel free to enter them there. Thank you, and I'll pass it on to Arnold.
Good morning from California. I'm Arnold Leitner, and I'm the CEO of YouSolar. Welcome to the webinar on the introduction of the PowerBloc G3, our third generation product. I'm here in Santa Clara in the Product Development Center with the PowerBloc behind me. And in this seminar, we'll dive into the details of the PowerBloc and why we believe the PowerBloc G3 is the future of power. So thank you for joining. My name is Arnold Leitner. We recorded this briefly before the seminar in our lab. So with this, let me answer the question, what is the PowerBloc? In more detail, and we go into its applications, how we install it, how we work with electricians, and everything else related to this game-changing, paradigm-shifting power system. So the PowerBloc is a multi-source nanogrid. What does it mean to be a nanogrid? It means that just like a utility system or a microgrid, it brings in all different types of energy sources, blends them on that grid, and delivers them to the load. In our case, that is on a house level and involves the solar array, a generator, utility power, and next year, also electric vehicles. We also have an integration with a flow battery. So everything integrates and then delivers power to the load. And we do this in a resilient way and clean. That's in our name, YouSolar. The primary energy source is the sun. As a grid forming system that can deliver 100 ampere of power and more, we make utility power optional. So a little more in detail what the PowerBloc is. As I mentioned before, it is a high voltage nanogrid. It is multi-source, so it operates at an electric potential of 400 volt, which brings in different types of energy sources, blends them, and delivers that as power to the load. And in that role, the PowerBloc is primary power. It is not backup power. It is the utility, if you like, the nanogrid to the house, to the business. The PowerBloc is also not a small system. It fills a gap that's currently unmet. We deliver power in 100 amp increments. For single phase, that means 24 kilowatt, all the way up to 1000 amps or 240 kilowatt. For three phase, we also do 100 amps, but there it's more power, 30 and 40 kilowatt, 35, and 40 kilowatt respectively to start at 208 and 240 volt, and then all the way up to a couple hundred kilowatt. As a deep storage system, the PowerBloc also can hold 70 to 700 kilowatt hours of energy in its batteries. The smallest system that we sell has 70 kilowatt hours. That is the PowerBloc base, and we consider that kind of the minimum that you really need to have for a 100 ampere service. We deliver alternating currents of all types. I mentioned earlier, we do single phase, we can do three phase, and most importantly, we can do all of it from the same PowerBloc system, sharing the storage, sharing the energy sources. And we have a customer that requires single phase to the residential part of his house and 240 volt three phase to the commercial side of the property. And we're delivering this all from one and the same storage and energy system. We also deliver direct current at 400 volt. And you will see later that there are very exciting applications for that now emerging, especially with electric vehicles. As a grid forming system, we work with or without the grid. That's why we make utility power optional. In a subsequent seminar, we will probably show some of the homes we are powering, and you'll be amazed what kind of properties today can run without utility power or only with a certain amount of utility power, and all made possible by the PowerBloc. So what we deliver is, as I noted, making utility power optional. We serve large homes and commercial customers, and we deliver all types of AC from the same system. The PowerBloc does not require utility approval, and starting next year, we'll offer bidirectional DC-DC electric vehicle charging with the PowerBloc. So our main differentiation is that we're the only high voltage nanogrid in the market operating on direct current. This is a parallel direct current architecture, which gives us the modularity and scalability we show later in the webinar. And that modularity and scalability starts already on the roof with our proprietary DC-DC microconverter, which steps up each solar panel or pair of solar panels, we do that as well, to the same electric potential that the rest of the system operates. So every solar panel is a parallel energy source, just like the electric vehicle would be, just like a generator input would be, just like the batteries would be, to that 400-volt high voltage direct current bus, that backbone that we call a bus. The result is high efficiency and easy scalability, and I'll explain that later with a tiny bit of physics. And also it allows for modularity because all of these units connect in parallel, so nothing is dependent on each other. And by the virtue of the design of the PowerBloc that we have created, we have reached a level of plug and play capability that's unprecedented in this industry, especially at a high voltage. What's unique about the PowerBloc and exciting, even though we build some of the largest power systems in residential and commercial applications, it can be hand installed. Now, we don't use dollies to move equipment. We don't say it's not nice to have some kind of a lift device to lift these modules into the cabinet, but we have installed and on a daily basis these systems also by hand. 2 people are definitely all that's required to install a PowerBloc. And there's more to that, as I will show later in the webinar. Seamless power blending. This is a key differentiator of the PowerBloc. And it allows us to bring energy sources from all directions into the PowerBloc, whether it's the grid, whether it's solar, whether it's the generator, whether it's any other source of energy, and to blend it seamlessly on the high voltage direct current bus of the PowerBloc. You have systems like the Franklin battery, for example, not to single them out, just to exemplify, where when the generator runs, the Franklin battery shuts down completely. You are on generator power. The generator starts the battery, and when the battery is charged, then you return to the Franklin system delivering power. Not singling this out as a company. This is across the board a common problem, a common limitations of existing AC coupled battery systems. We don't have that. The PowerBloc delivers the full inverter power at all times, and everything else is an energy input into the high voltage bus. There are no switches in the PowerBloc. There are no transfers from generator back and forth. There's no battery turning on and off. There are no glitches with the PowerBloc to the supply to the home. So why do people buy the PowerBloc? There are many reasons, but one thing they have now, they have an option to replace utility power. And they use it in many, often surprising and creative ways. And it's fair to say that not a single one of our customers uses the PowerBloc exactly for the same reason. There's always a different reason, but it's always underlying the realization, hello, I don't need utility power. I can use a PowerBloc to meet my needs. The most important driver of our business is to avoid costly utility upgrades. Customers that build new homes, that electrify their homes, need to wait for new utility connections or upgrades to the property, which can take years. Here, 1 year is typical, but there can be delays, there can be red tape, and there's a significant cost, often very high cost associated with these upgrades to go, say, from a 200 to 400 amp service. And we see this across the board. And we spoke with electricians that right now 400 ampere is the standard connection to a modern home. And the cost of these upgrades or connections can be the same as that of a PowerBloc. So you can get this incremental 200 ampere or a full 400 ampere service for the cost of what utility would charge you to connect you to your system. Now, with the PowerBloc, you will receive a 30% investment tax credit. You don't get that from a utility. Utility also will not give you free energy for the next 15 or 20 years. With the PowerBloc, with an adequate solar array, you'll be having free energy. You're also not suffering from outages related to from weather or too high demand on the grid. You don't have that either with the PowerBloc, and also you're insulated from additional rate increases, which in California have been very, very high because of the wildfires and the urgent need to transition to renewable energy, for which the current grid is simply not fit to provide the kind of service cost effectively. That is one of the biggest drivers. Now, I mentioned in the context protection from power outages, which you probably assumed are one of the biggest drivers of backup systems that YouSolar provides, or primary systems, I should say. That is not the case. They all like the idea that they have backup power when the grid goes down, but it really starts with the earlier realization, if I'm not on the grid, so why would I worry about outages? I don't have them anymore. But that's, of course, implied in that whole purchase decision. The other one, which you probably have not fully realized, is the fact that if you have a property outside the city in California, you are next to impossible to get fire insurance or homeowner insurance for your house. There are houses out there not far, including our house, on the edge of a golf course in El Cerrito, not a very high-end neighborhood, not out far in the urban wildlife interface. We could almost not get fire insurance because we're adjacent to a golf course. So our customers cannot get fire insurance for their new homes, and we provide physical fire insurance. We partner with wildfire defense companies, and we power their pumping and water systems when the grid goes down, as it will and must when a wildfire is present or has approached the area. And so this is a physical way to protect homes, and the decisions to get this is straightforward. The cost is obvious. You can either lose your home completely, everything you've collected, everything you ever brought back from Tahiti, all your family photos, or you can opt for a PowerBloc combined with a wildfire suppression system. And then, of course, all of our customers having a PowerBloc and that are continue to be partially grid connected, use the PowerBloc for price of time of use price arbitrage. They use solar when the grid is expensive and use the grid when the grid is cheap, or even store energy to use at later times from the grid. So here it is. This is a real product. Here is the PowerBloc a few days ago, a few weeks ago, and as we assembled it, on the right-hand side, you see one side of the PowerBloc, which is the peak cabinet. It contains the inverter. This is a base system, a 2-cabinet PowerBloc, the smallest we sell, but PowerBlocs will scale in size, and then there are multiple peak cabinets with slightly different configurations as you scale the PowerBloc compared to the base. But that is what we're looking at. This is it, and we'll show you more pictures and how it all comes together in the next sections. So what's inside? Again, we have a modular system that comprises functional units, and they can be arranged and positioned in different locations within the cabinet and in different cabinets. It all doesn't matter because they are parallel. For them, electrically, any position in a cabinet or another cabinet adjacent, or even a cabinet 100 yards away from the primary cabinet, is the same location electrically. So here we have the base, we have the traffic controller that comes also with 2 10-kilowatt solar inputs. We have the storage batteries that hold deep storage very cost effectively. They come in packages of 20 kilowatt hours, comprising 4 batteries at a time. Then we have the utility and generator input that's here located at the bottom of the right cabinet. And then we have the innovative Boost battery stack that we developed, a 600-volt battery stack with 30 kilowatt hours of storage that drives the highly anticipated 100 ampere force inverter. It comes a single phase or 208 three-phase, but we also have the force available in 240, 480 volt three-phase for those here on the call that are interested in commercial applications of the PowerBloc. That is the base, that's in it. And we'll see a little more details of that in a moment. So here they are, the PowerBloc modules. They make up the PowerBloc. They can be combined in any way you like in the various cabinets to meet your energy needs, because every customer ultimately has different requirements. Some have more power needs, one are off-grid, want to store more, some have to protect very valuable wine collections. Others need to run their pumps for their fire suppression. Everyone has different needs, but the PowerBloc allows us to customize this for each customer without any changes in the design of the cabinets or any reconfiguration of the program, the software traffic that runs it, because all the modules are detecting themselves on the system and the traffic controller will use them as available. So the traffic controller does not need to know what batteries and systems are on the system ex ante. It pings the system, asks who's available, and then uses every module to optimize energy supply to the load. So here it is, the force inverter. It's been years in the making here in our lab in front of the two cabinet based system. Again, 100 ampere, 180, 30 ampere, apologize, surging for 10 seconds, high voltage input, and grid forming, and very, very efficient. So the next thing that we've done is really changing the way these systems are being installed, and we are truly electricians and contractors darlings. We have built the PowerBloc as a installation product with that in mind and their needs in mind. So first of all, what we need to do to put a PowerBloc together is to do a short trip to IKEA and go down to the service department and get one of their free Allen wrenches and come back and start assembling the PowerBloc cabinet in the location. We first ship the airbase, which is the base of the PowerBloc, ahead of time and ask the customer's contractors to install it on the concrete floor or wherever it's being located with accurate spacing. And then we come and insert the back panel. It inserts from the front, and then we just tighten it down. This looks like IKEA furniture. It does, but I assure you, it actually always works, and the holes are always drilled in the right location. So then you take the side panel. Again, what we love about this breakdown cabinet, that access is not required from the sides to build this cabinet. Everything folds out and rotates out from the center. So these panels rotate out from the center and then lock down and connected. Then you go on the right side and you do the same for the right side panel. It looks a little bit different. Right side panel has an air shaft that moves air up and down to cool the system. We're not talking about a small PowerBloc or small, apologize, battery system. This is a significant power system. And we provide active air circulation. And we also do cable runs up and down the right-hand side for inputs into various modules, a very clean design. Then we put on the vent hood and the interconnection between the cabinets. That's kind of a manifold that goes between the cabinets. And that, again, also installs from the front. You don't have to reach in and over or back there to tighten down any screws. It just slides in and connects. So next we install the modules. We didn't show the shelves here that come with the side doors, but they are part of the side panels, apologize. And then you simply start taking everything out of cardboard boxes and you're sliding things in the PowerBloc, just on the shelves. That's the beauty of a rack-based system. Nothing depends on each other, just slide things in at this point. And we very often will install the PowerBloc cabinets completely ahead of time, and then on commission day, we just come and slide in the modules and turn the system on, almost like a anticlimactic conclusion of the installation process. So here I want to show you the blade backplane connector we have developed for all the high voltage connections that are on the back of the modules. This is a short video. Hopefully this works when I click it. And you see how the backplane connector engages here, or engaged into the backplane. So that means there's no tightening down of any connectors required to make all the high voltage connection, which is very important in our view for safety. We're not quite done that. We have not managed to make everything plug and play and click lock or blade connector. So another short trip to IKEA, back to the service department. Let's get one of those hex heads, those Phillips, and then proceed. We have left lugs on the terminal block of the inverter, and we also have to secure the rack with standard screws to the rack rail. But those are the two tools that you required. Everything, including the interconnection between cabinets, including the 350 ampere, 133 kilowatt interconnection from cabinet to cabinet, is a click lock connection. So the next step is we install the power connectors on the front. They just click on. You have a cardboard box and you start clicking happily away. And here's a picture. These are the Sherlock technology type connectors. They're very popular now. And what's unique again for the PowerBloc, because we operate at such high electric potentials, the right cables that are the size of a pencil run up to 40 kilowatts of power at 600 volt in our stack. That's the power and the benefit of high voltage. So then we put the doors on. I think that everyone can imagine. You just hang the door, and then you close the cabinet, and you're done from an electric connection of the PowerBloc with inside of it, and it's ready to run. But now we need to connect it to the home, and we made that especially easy. So in comes electricians. We work with them. We always think from their perspective. We want to make it as easy as possible. And I can tell you that we win deals where previous equipment has already been specified, because we walk in, we show the PowerBloc installs, what the electrician or the installer has to do, and we win the deal, not just on price, but simply on the ease of installation, the reliability of the installation, the clarity of the division of responsibility, the ability to service it, and simply the obvious approach we take into this. So this is what it looks like. After we installed the PowerBloc, we provide, or before we provide 3 boxes that belong to YouSolar. The inbox, which brings on all the solar, utility, generator power, whatever is designed in the PowerBloc, and we zoom in on that in a moment. The gate, which is a generator and automatic transfer switch control. It has cards inside that are unique to different generators, to different transfer switch. After we know what transfer switch and generator you use, we insert the right card that then communicates with that particular device. If in the future that generator changes or that transfer switch changes, you just order a new card, we ship it, you swap it out, you click it in, and you can now control that different type of generator or automatic transfer switch. The inbox and outbox are so much fun that we give it their own little name. And here's what they are. They're just electrical conjunction boxes where we land everything from the PowerBloc, and it's clearly labeled, missing here, apologize, what those lines are. And then the other side is the electrician side, same on the output. And these are high-low solar, L1, L2 for AC input. On the right-hand side, it would be L1, L2, neutral and ground. And we decided that we don't want any tightening, any mistakes here. All of these are spring-loaded Phoenix connectors. So we set them all up. We set them up for 200 ampere, for 400 ampere. The electrician just opens the box, something they're familiar with, something they like to use, and they just look at it and it says, you know, L1, L2, L3, and they can just connect the PowerBloc to the load. Next, a word about scalability, and you will be amazed by the size of systems that the PowerBloc delivers. So on the left is our standard 100 ampere utility replacement. It comes with 70 kilowatt hours. We do not believe that anything less than that makes any practical sense. and a lot of customers who have experienced power outages have come back and understand this now. For example, if you have a 10 kilowatt hour battery that cycles solar energy as it should, it's on average 50% full when the outage hits. That's 5 kilowatt hour of storage. Kind of the minimum load in the house is 500 watts. In 10 hours, your battery is dead. The time between an evening, a day with overcast sky, another evening is 36 hours. So you know that there's nothing to recharge it, and you know when you're going to be out of power. So for that reason, we do not provide a PowerBloc with less than 70 kilowatt hours of storage. But many of our customers have much bigger needs. They want to pump up their electricity supply by 200 ampere. So this would be the 140 kilowatt hour cabinet. But again, that is all adjustable, flexible. We have a customer that has 100 ampere service and has 2 storage cabinets with respective 80 kilowatt hours in addition to the 30 that comes from the peak. And now it's looking at the 3rd cabinet. So just what you're looking at here, just 100 ampere, but 3 deep storage cabinets for an off-grid house. But here is the biggest system we have sold to date. This goes into a home in Pebble Beach. It has 200 ampere and 280 kilowatt hours of storage. It will actually break up into 2 segments. One part, the storage part, will be under the pool in a room, and the remaining system is going to be built inside the utility room in the house. And I want to take a pause and say something very important here. While our customers are high-end residences, we only have these customers because they have very large loads and cannot find anyone to supply them. And we have focused on them because we're a small company. There's nothing about the PowerBloc that's expensive. There's nothing about the PowerBloc that's premium, except it's an exceptionally well-engineered and cost-effectively manufactured product. So this PowerBloc you see here is equally applicable for a commercial setting, and we have commercial customers already, often in combination with residential properties. So that's just a word about the PowerBloc. It is, yes, upscale as a product, but not upscale in its price. Another thing that is unique about the PowerBloc, and I spoke about it at the beginning briefly, is its ability to customize. You saw the whole zoo, the whole collection of modules we have, and most importantly, the step-in and extend generator module are the most modules used to customize systems and bring in more solar. We have a home with 50 kilowatt of solar. That's not the limit. We have homes with 36 kilowatt of generator and utility integration. That's not the limit. But those modules then allow, when placed in the various cabinets, to customize the needs and expand the external energy inputs into the system. Most important is more power. That's usually that's always an additional peak cabinet with 100 amp increments. We can expand storage with additional store cabinets, and that's independent of the power. I mentioned earlier, we have a customer with 100 ampere with 2 storage cabinets. That's now going to 4 storage cabinets, and because of that, 2 of those cabinets are going to be 150 yards away. I would suppose 100 yards away from the power cabinet, and that's all possible with the PowerBloc. And let me take a pause here. The reason we win so many projects, and we have not to this date lost a project in a competition with another vendor, is because we can always solve the problem. Whatever needs to be done, we can do. That is the power, no pun intended, of the PowerBloc, and we see it every day. More solar, no problem. We offer you input module with increments of 10 kilowatts of power. More generator power, utility power, I mentioned earlier, just get additional extend units. And what's even more exciting for what's coming, and I will talk about this today because you've probably never heard this before, more high voltage direct current power. We can customize this as well. Often that's not required because with the scaling of the system, that DC power increases, but I show you that even that is possible in a moment within the PowerBloc. So where do we do this customization expansion? You see at the bottom of each cabinet, there's additional space that we use. As you have more cabinets, there's more of those space available, and also the store and the peak cabinet without the controller and without normally the extend module then have additional 5 and 6 rack unit sizes, which fits multiple modules of space. So we never have a situation where we run out of space. And yes, it is always an increment of 2 and 3 rack units, and it always fits nicely. So we got very lucky, or maybe we didn't. We planned very carefully to make sure that we can expand these systems without scratching our heads. Why did we not add a little more space? So here's an example where we customize the high voltage direct current part of the PowerBloc. On the left side, you can probably not tell the difference, but I highlighted with you in yellow. The big ring is how we have the 2 times kilowatt hour pack usually arranged. Below, you see it broken up into 2 segments. That brings in an extra set of power. On the right-hand side, we just went full Monty. We just broke every battery up and equipped it with its own bidirectional converter. You don't usually want to do this. You usually don't need to do this. But if you wanted to, you can deliver 21 kilowatt of high voltage direct current power from the battery alone. If you add, up to 150 kilowatt of or more of solar power, 150 kilowatt of solar power instantaneous, and God forbid other energy sources, you'll be soon exceeding whatever DC load you want to meet. Again, that is the virtue of the high voltage direct current bus. And because this webinar is also really addressing our electricians and contractors, just 2 slides on that. And maybe for those interested in engineering, stay tuned here for the next minute and a half. So why does high voltage matter so much? Why do we not operate at 50 volt? The reason is simple. At 400 volt, the current drops down by a factor of 8 compared to a 50 volt system. The resistance is a property of the material and proportional to the current squared. So if I drop my current by a factor of 8, by increasing my voltage and delivering the same amount of power, power is voltage times current, loss is resistance times current squared. I can decrease my losses 64 times by going to a higher voltage, or reversed, I can run the same power over cables that are 64 times smaller and commensurably small electronics than in 50 volt. I noted earlier that power input into an inverter at 600 volt runs 40 kilowatt over cable that with insulation is less than your pencil in thickness. This would be a pipe, a drain pipe cable if you're trying to do this at 50 volt. So the next thing that we are doing, and we already have the first customers and we're waiting for the bidirectional charger, is to run electric vehicles directly off the high voltage bus. They are batteries. We are battery. Why would we run this through an inverter, through a level 2 charger, which then goes as AC into the car and converts it back to DC, if you can just use the DC pins that you use at your fast charging station to connect your vehicle to the PowerBloc? And that charge is available next year. It comes out first with 12.5 kilowatt and subsequently would have a 25 kilowatt version available. The PowerBloc is ready for that. And we have already sold that to one of our first customers. And everyone is absolutely excited about this because it now also allows you to make the vehicle an extension of your battery storage system, not just to absorb solar energy when you can't store it anymore, but also to deliver energy to the house, say during that extended outage. Now customers don't have to oversize their battery system to worst case scenario. They can rely on the vehicle, which typically has 60 kilowatt hours, to provide that additional energy during extended outage. For example, a winter storm or wildfire where the sky is dark for a week with clouds, with smog, I apologize, and with smoke. We will also begin to integrate heat pumps directly over direct current. And yes, the first direct current heat pumps are available and they're consistent with the 400 volt PowerBloc DC bus. More efficiency, charge electric vehicles, and no more inverter. If you had 2 vehicles in the car, you would have 2 level 2 chargers, each consuming about 20 kilowatts of power. You would need a 20 kilowatt inverter only for the 2 cars. You no longer need that inverter. We simply save you $10,000 by not having a level 2 charger. And now you can charge fast charge. The limit is not the PowerBloc. The limit is currently the charges available in the market. So We believe in the power of innovation. We believe in the power of not listening to naysayers. And I want to show you the roadmap we have been on, and it's been consistent since we founded the company. And we'll show you where we'll ultimately take the PowerBloc, but there's a fork in the road now because we have two great products we're going to run hopefully for a very long time. So in 2019, we started with the Gen 1 PowerBloc, where we proved and showed the high voltage DC parallel solar array with panel level microinverters and other technology that's being used right now in the PowerBloc. Those systems are running today, right now in Big Sur, during the cyclone rain bomb that came. That customer had reliable power. That technology then made it into the Gen 2 system. And then we took a major leap forward in technology. We developed, built, and managed the high voltage direct current active bus. For those who really care, it is a droop mode controlled direct current bus, something that, to our knowledge, has not existed before, commercially at least available, and the PowerBloc Gen 3 operates on it. And we take that leap in technology and make it the energy side of the Gen 3 PowerBloc, the thing that allows us to do all these parallel things, extend cabinets to faraway places, giving homeowners the opportunity to decide where they want to locate some of their equipment and how they want to integrate it into a property without any limitations such as, well, we just can't do it. That is never the answer with the PowerBloc. We can do almost anything that our customers need, from power, from location, from integration. In the Gen 3, we took everything we had learned and more and developed what we think is an instant classic, a product that we believe is going to be around for decades. We first of all developed a very safe proprietary 600-volt battery stack, which we're not showing today because it will be a seminar on its own. We developed modules with blade connectors in the back. We are using click lock connectors to avoid any type of screw down on the cabinet. It's just not safe. No one is reliable. No one can check whether something's tight enough. These click lock connectors ensure secure connection. We also learned that we want to break out cabinet. We have a PowerBloc where 4 cabinets go through a trapdoor into a room, no problem at all. Everything lowers down and we assemble it inside of that room, and it can be easily disassembled and removed again through the trapdoor back to where it next needs to be. And we also developed a proprietary 100-volt battery pack that's integral to the 600-volt battery stack. It uses automotive battery management technology because nothing was really available, and we're very happy and very proud with what we've built. There's so many other things I would like to tell you about today for the practicality of the PowerBloc, including its ability to add active venting, its holds on the battery pack, all the things that matter when you install them. But we're not done yet. We want to return, we want to finish what we set out originally. We want to introduce the patented stackable modules of the Gen 4 PowerBloc, and that PowerBloc will run in parallel. It wasn't YouSolar if it wasn't compatible with the current PowerBloc, but this is what it looks like. We want to go even further. We want to have a system that even the electrician with no training can install as a system, not just connected. We want to get rid of all tools, except maybe a screwdriver, and we want to make, and we will make this scalable and extremely safe, even beyond what we're doing with the PowerBloc G3. And we will have a build-your-own model that meets every need. We will no longer design and plan these systems. People will learn and can also quickly correct mistakes they make in terms of what they need, because there's no more ex-ante sizing required. You start connecting these modules and connecting towers of modules with each others. And also we want to introduce the absolute swap to repair business model with this PowerBloc. So let's wrap it up here. We want to build a PowerBloc that can go anywhere. And we believe that with prices dropping, as New York Times suggests, millions will go off grid, and we're already seeing it. When you have to look at the cost of utility upgrade, what your PowerBloc can do for you, the answer is pretty evident. Quickly, we are nanogrid, we are parallel, we have a DC array that can have up to 60 panels on a home run cable. We are scalable, we are multi-source, we are on or off grid, and we're easy to install and easy to service. And of course, everything is fully automated. In the PowerBloc, you receive weather data, you receive solar production forecast, you do a load forecast, all of that's available in PowerBloc. If you want a PowerBloc, please order now. Just email us to get in touch at yousolar.com. We'll have a very busy first and second quarter already, but we have probably slots now beginning in the third quarter or end of the second quarter of next year. So if you want to get a PowerBloc, please get in line now. Call us, talk to our salespeople, and we design a system, and you can place a deposit. The leadership team, myself, I'm Arnold Leichner. I'm definitely, I think, a clean tech pioneer. Roger Peng is our sales director. He has sold over 250 battery systems in his career in the last 2 years alone. Bob Rudder is our CTO with depth of experience in electronics and controls and power systems. And Mike Allman is one of our major investors and the director. And his claim to fame is having built the first utility-owned solar power plant in the United States. That was in 2008, and a lot has changed since then. So we also raised over $1 million on Start Engine, a crowdfunding platform. If you like to not only buy a PowerBloc, but to invest in a company, please make your decision soon. Our campaign will end on 19 December in just about 28 days, because we want to focus on our customers and our installation and turn YouSolar into a profitable cash flow positive business. So with this, I open up to questions. I'm going to open the chat box on my side so I see questions come in, and look forward to answering them. And we'll try to wrap up in about 10 minutes or just before the hour, 5 minutes before the hours, so you can get to your next meeting or to lunch, wherever you are. All right, I'm looking forward to questions here. Okay, I have some first set of questions. So there's one about the chemistry. So the chemistry in the PowerBloc is lithium iron phosphate. It has been the battery of choice for all of those who started out in storage. Of course, before that was lead acid, but then became lithium iron phosphate. Tesla specifically had used NMC cells from the automotive side. They have also seen the benefit of lithium iron phosphate. And one of the most important advantages of lithium iron phosphate is its inherent safety. We have done a lot of work, asked about tens of thousands of cells and battery systems with LFP, lithium iron phosphate, not heard of a single combustion event. Very rarely a battery gets warm, but no combustion. So there's a question whether the PowerBloc is hardened for electromagnetic pulse. So this would be a pulse that relates to, from a military deployment of a nuclear weapon, sadly. I think there are also EMP devices. I think a solar event can cause an EMP. The answer is no. The PowerBloc is at this time not hardened for an EMP event. Next question is: Are we offering sales outside of California, and do we sell outside the United States? Not outside the United States at this point. We will entertain sales into the Caribbean, or even Central America on a one-off basis, but the customer is responsible for all the shipment from a US port here and will not provide service. For the US, yes, we have projects in outside California. We have projects in Arizona, Nevada, Florida, New York, in addition to projects here in California. Question that's very, very important, something we have really addressed head on, no pun intended, because we have a hood on this cabinet, is temperature. There's a limit to how high lithium iron phosphate batteries can operate, and this has nothing to do with the brand. This is purely physics of the chemistry. That's about 116 degrees Fahrenheit. Therefore, we require that all PowerBlocs are in a temperature-controlled environment. That means air conditioning. But we will waive that requirement for climate zones where we're comfortable that just a venting of the system, either passive or active, with the vent hood that you see on top, which can connect to a plenum and an active heat venting system. We can waive that and approve it on a location-by-location basis. But that's true for all systems. The PowerBloc does have internal heating for the batteries, so we're not so worried about being in a place that gets a little cool. The battery packs will be heated. We do not want to heat power electronics, because the colder it is, the better it operates. Another questions here. came from various people here. Let me see, we'll scroll down. UL listing, yes, we have a UL listing on many of the piece of power electronics. The batteries are in the UL listing right now. Then we will have UL 9540, I always get those confused, 9450 or 9540, whatever that fire protection is, the cabinet will be UL tested for that. We'll say that anything we've done before at any time has passed UL without a single problem. One time we had to add a small diode, which was a trivial change. But yeah, we believe we know we designed beyond UL. So can you do a 200 ampere configuration with a 70 kilowatt hour storage system is a question that came up here. No. And the reason is simple, but it's not a firm no. The reason is a soft no. We need 30 kilowatt hours behind the inverter on the boost battery to deliver the 600 volt. That's power and energy storage are tied through a discharge factor. But you could have a 100 ampere with 2 store batteries, so it would be 30 plus 2 times 40. So that would be 110 kilowatt hours. That would unfortunately be the smallest. We apologize, I misspoke. That would be smallest for 100 amp plus 2 storage. Going back to your question I should answer, 200 ampere would be 2 times 30, that's 60 plus 40, so it would be 100 kilowatt hours is the smallest for 200 ampere with 1 storage. That's a very good option, by the way, for those that want to have it truly for backup, high power backup, where they're paired with a generator and don't have space for solar. So a generator will run periodically. It can be a low power generator, just feeds energy, and the 200 volt system delivers the high power. All right, I have many questions here. So the question comes in regarding PowerBloc installation with authorities having jurisdictions. All of installations, and we have done 8 so far, have passed without any comment from the authority having jurisdiction. They're typically impressed and very supportive of the PowerBloc because the installation is clean, and we really are very concerned with safety and the quality. So no, we had no problems. We have currently another 12 projects that are being installed here over the next year. And so far, we've been working on some of those ahead of time with the AHJ to clear out any kind of issues. But what definitely has come to the forefront is a requirement of the fire districts, and we've been addressing and meeting them. And so far, this has not caused a stumbling block, despite the fact there's certain regulations in California that limit storage capacity at certain levels. All of this is in principle addressable, and so far we have done so. Question is, do we need to talk to PG&E? The answer is no. We're not grid tied. We are load. We are no different than an uninterrupted power supply for your computer. We're no different, really, electrically speaking, than you plugging your wall charger for your laptop into your outlet in the house. That doesn't require utility approval. The PowerBloc is functionally, electrically speaking, not different. So it doesn't require utility approval at this point. Good question that came up here is what about hurricanes and flooding? I believe Lunar offers a system that can flood the first couple of feet. I do not recommend any of this. Anyone that's ever seen any of the furniture, anything flood in TV or in life, please don't attempt it. If we are in flood zones, we highly recommend you elevate the PowerBloc. If you're commercial, you should have a platform in the back, just like any reasonable person would do that. It is in principle possible to waterproof the enclosures. Please put them on high ground. We have one customer that plans to put it on the 2nd floor of a building, just reinforcing, actually more than one customer, 2 customers, unrelated to flood. But no, do not put this on a flood zone. And I don't think you should put any system on a flood zone. Yes, we cannot hang it on the wall. That's a downside. But then on the other side, you can put a 150 kilowatt system on the wall and not create a mechanical, civil engineering challenge for your wall and the electricians. Okay, we have another 3 minutes. We want to end 5 minutes before the end of the hour. So let me look at some of these questions. You have a lot of questions coming here. Try to go one by one. So will the DC-DC charger be a range extender to the PowerBloc? The answer is yes. There's a lot of subtlety that the charger handles, but yes, either the car becomes a sink of energy, charges, or becomes a source, and that is a range extender. We think it's going to be great for our customers. Do we cannibalize our own business? Absolutely. We can sell you additional storage unit, but it's so worth it. We want to get you the best solution that your money can possibly buy, and we rather have you have a 60 kilowatt hour extension of storage that drives around to use every day than one that's parked in the house, sitting there and only being used once in a blue moon. We don't see that ultimately limiting our business. We have so much to do, so much need, but we really want to bring that into the market. So the question came up about battery obsolescence. We have, let me point it out, a PowerBloc delivered that uses lithium iron phosphate for one side of storage and a flow battery for the other storage. That can tell you that we can integrate any type of storage with this architecture into the PowerBloc. We could have batteries based on different chemistry, titanate, lithium titanate, or lithium NMC. All that is possible with the PowerBloc. So the other thing that we really like, yes, the 19-inch rack has been around, I think, since 1910, and it might look old-fashioned to you, but it is a standard that's proven a test of time, and all these battery manufacturers will continue to make and plan to make modules fitting that form factor, which we can integrate into the PowerBloc. As we said, we have designed something for the decades. When you specify a PowerBloc today, it will be the same form factor from a cabinet in 3, 4, 5 years than when you start your project. It's not like a different type of LED strip on the battery here and there, a different form factor. We're going to stick with this for the large-scale power systems. It is simply the more practical way to approach it. 1 minute left. Let me see what other question I can find here. Yes, the question came in. Last one. Yes, the webinar is accessible later. We posted on our YouTube channel. Hopefully, you can share that with others and watch it again. So allow me to close out with the last question. You don't require utility approval. You're sometimes grid connected, but not grid tied. Are these different words for the same thing? No, they're not. And we have a hard time defining them, but we did our best. Grid connected means we can use the grid as an energy source through our extent rectifier. That's simply a load on your grid connection from utility. It's not anything different than your car charger. You don't need a permit for that either, other than your installation permit. It's no different than anything that you connect in the house, including your laptops, wall wart to the outlet. Grid tied means that the inverter output is connected to the grid. That means energy can flow back and forth. They don't like flowing back. The transits from the grid will show up on your system. The PowerBloc doesn't do this. And that is the type of connection where we will require working with utilities. And that's what we don't do here at YouSolar. We focus on grid forming systems. Can we do grid tied? Sure. But our customers don't want it for the many reasons that I hope I laid out in this webinar. Very quick, equipment is made in California. Only the batteries come from China because we, the United States, have decided not to make batteries. That's changing now, thankfully, but for the time being, we source only battery cells from China. All right, with that, thank you for joining us today for the introduction of the PowerBloc Gen 3. It will be ready to be installed in Q3, and we thank you for your interest. Please come and visit us. Send us an email to get-in-touch@yousolar.com if you want to buy a PowerBloc. If you're interested in investing in the YouSolar, there are only 28 days left to do so. Your destination is startengine.com/YouSolar, startengine.com/YouSolar, or just search the web for YouSolar and Start Engine, and you can invest. Anyone can invest. You can invest at minimum $350, but I hope if you like us, you'll do more. Thank you so much for taking the time this morning. Greetings from California. Have a wonderful holiday season, and we'll see you hopefully with a PowerBloc at your house in the near future. Goodbye.